Good day, everybody. Once again, welcome to our little game we like to call Diet D&D. As always, I am Artificial. I will be your Dungeon Master this session. Welcome to Season 4. With me, as always, is our number one Prime player. We have Daniel.
Yo!
Playing, as usual, our little half-elf rogue, Scaithe. We last left off, Scaithe was pretty much in a big mess with some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, who's-a-what's-it-mess. So, we found out something's wrong, but we're not quite sure what or how to fix it. Well, Sabrak seems to have known what's up, but seems to be wanting to play along for now, trying to see as if there's more to it. But continuing on, Sabrak mentions, as Scaithe finds out, he's essentially back in time before he actually is admitted to the Adventurers Guild, before the council accepts him. So Sabrak offers him his entrance exam, in which Scaithe decided to pick a notice about an issue with an ent. Not really too much to it, but that's what he's picked. Alright, Scaithe, you have basically just joined with Sabrak and taken a local ship from the town of Steelwater over to this nice little plateau little city, quiet and quaint, practically on the other side of the world. It took you most of the day to sail over here, pretty uneventful. But you know this little town, Garbik, but I'm not going to ask you to say it. A little holy town, but that's about all you know of it. It's famous for tourists, and everyone in the world comes to practice different religions and practices. But that's about all there is to the town. You arrive basically to the dock. Your captain and the one or two ship hands that actually sailed with you will remain on the boat, as they're primarily here just for your transport. You and the drow managed to get off the ship. You chit-chatted a little bit, but you haven't really asked any questions about further what's going on. Sabrak didn't seem inclined to talk about anything on the ship himself. As you two saddle off of the ship on this little dock here of this quiet town, you do notice that everything looks already very primitive, just from initial steps off of the ship. You are immediately met with what looks like the only path leading out of this very small docking scape here. You see about 4 figures up in the distance. At this point, Scaithe, you can take it away.
Alright. I want to turn and look to my current companion and say, so what's our first step?
Sabrak has, in fact, whistled and gained his familiar, his little electricity dragon here that's perched on his shoulder. As Sabrak kind of somewhere pulls out a clipboard. You don't even know where he had it, but is scratching down on this clipboard with a nice little charcoal pen. He tells you just quite simply, this is your entrance exam. You were given an assignment. Unfortunately, I am not allowed to interfere, so at this point, it is all you. As Sabrak legitimately disappears, he goes straight up invisible.
I just stare off into the distance and go, fun. Okay. I want to approach these individuals over here.
Alright. You instinctively see 2 members which look like they're part of some sort of guard. They are heavily armored knights, if you will. One is female and very tall, practically like an Amazonian build. The other one seems to be a smaller male. Behind them are 2 figures who look like they appear to be men of the cloth. One appears to be somewhat of a priest, and one appears to be more like a monk. As far as you can tell, everyone seems to be human, except for the monk appears to be very short, possibly a dwarf.
Okay. Let's see then. I wish to speak with. Hmm. Let's speak to one of the men of cloth. Probably the human, the taller looking one.
Alright, that would be the figure in white here.
Okay.
The figure is a very kindly looking man. He seems to be old in age, but a very kind face to him. Not only do you see he's actually dressed up in these very fancified robes, but it appears also to be very primitive, not a type of cloth you would normally see about town, more or less handmade. He very warmly smiles and gives you the biggest welcome you've ever seen from a tiny frail man such as this, and announces himself as Father Augustine. He welcomes you to the little town here, little divine city of Garpic, and quickly holds out a very generous and gracious hand to warmly shake your hand.
I accept the handshake.
Before you do so, the sizable guard here will actually kind of intervene and actually hold a hand out to prevent you from touching this man, and actually square you up and down real quick. The Father Augustine will actually hold up a hand as if to dismiss the guard here. You will inform her it is okay, and does gladly take your hand and warmly shake your hand. This old man is just as pleased as peaches to have you here, seems like. You must forgive my company here. We do not have that many outsiders come from sea anymore, if you would understand here from our little situation, he informs you.
I can completely understand, and it is not. What's the word I'm looking for? Unexpected that defenses would be high.
Nonetheless, uh, they all in turn properly introduce themselves after asking your name first.
My name is Scaithe, and I am from the Adventurers Guild. It's a pleasure to meet you all.
The high priest will actually make note that they were, of course, expecting someone from the guild, but of course they did not know who or what. But they are pleased to meet you. The father pretty much introduces everyone for themselves. He introduces the monk to his right as Brother Afan Yaiti, this very kindly looking dwarf who's just got like the biggest dumb guy smile on his face. He just looks just like the priest, just as happy as ever to have someone here. He also addresses this large armored female to his right as their basically guard leader or guard captain, as Valentine Strife. And unfortunately, he does not actually mention the name of this other guard that is just behind everybody. That appears to be obviously in this guard as well. Um, Father Augustine will actually then tell you that you are, welcome to conduct whatever you need to be conducted throughout our little town here. Do as you please. Everyone is very kind, everyone is welcoming, and everyone will do their best to attend to your needs as well they could possibly do. And basically tells you that that Brother Yaiti here will basically kind of be your guide throughout town, and you can ask him of anything at any point, of course.
Okay.
Um, Basically, just as simple as that, they uh, bid you a good day, and the guards will pretty much just escort the high priest back down the road. The priest will make a mention that they would hope to see you at the feast hall for dinner in a couple hours or so, as it took you most of the day to arrive.
It would be my honor to join you all.
And with that, the priest looks just as giddy as ever, and they will be on their way. And you are left with Brother Yaiti here. He's got
Oh,
the biggest dwarven dumb guy smile on his face. He's just like starry eyed looking at you, just kind of awestruck.
all right, Brother Yaedi. What would you suggest we visit first?
He is not responding. He is just as starry eyed. He is literally staring at you with this pure sense of wonder on his face.
Pardon me. I just kind of wave at him. Anything?
Nothing.
Nothing.
He is absolutely enraptured by you.
How much so?
If you weren't sure he's looking at you, you would believe he's just staring off into space, like he's just seen the biggest pile of gold. Like he's seen his true desire kind of deal. He just looks like he's seen some sort of mystical treasure. He doesn't
Has
seem
he
to.
been bewitched or something?
We're not quite sure. It's just he has never seen whatever this is he's looking at before, and he is absolutely intrigued beyond all compare.
Okay, then. I'll state, well, then I suppose I'll just start walking. I just kind of,
As soon as you take about 3 or 4 steps, he actually actively snaps out of it and whirls around to half meet, half stop you, and he personally apologizes. Oh, I'm so sorry. He actively wipes his face like as if he were drooling or something. He says, "You have to forgive me. We don't see many elven kind around here. They kind of frown upon us." He says, now collecting himself, you can see.
oh, well, I'm terribly sorry. Uh, might I ask, though, why they do? You all seem quite pleasant.
Well, this little divine city isn't exactly, the 6 cities of Eglion here. It's more like a village or a town, but elves don't really meddle in the affairs of small businesses and little. Yeah.
No, I'm certain that you should have at least had your fair share of elven adventurers pass through. This is quite a beautiful stop.
Sadly, no, he says.
I see. That is unfortunate.
Well, he kind of fixes his little robe a little bit and pats around his pockets. I am, of course, I am here to be your guide. I'm here to help you in anything you see fit. First, why don't we go ahead and get you settled in your room? That way, if you need be, you can rest or relax or what have you before dinner or otherwise, I suppose.
All right. While we go there, would you mind talking to me about well, for lack of a better word, do you happen to know of an ent problem?
He says, "Oh yes, certainly. I can inform you of what we know."
I need as much information as I can, please.
He says, "Would you mind talking on the way to the inn?"
Not in the least.
And he will kind of side saddle up and kind of hold off a hand as if to say, "Walk with me."
I follow. I follow.
Um,
The words.
you basically follow this short little path and start walking down this literally cobblestone road. Everything here seems to be very primitive from your initial looks around. The houses are small, thatched cottages kind of deals. All the houses are kind of clustered together. They have like practically private gardens. Everything looks so self-contained and very small townish in the least. Um, as you can notice, every now and again you will actually see these little wooden boxes on the corners and just everywhere about kind of like an often structure. They appear to be like person-sized, what you would expect of like an outhouse.
Mm-hmm.
As Yaidi follows down the path, he will inform you that basically this town is on a large peninsula here, and the only way to reach the actual mainland is through a wooded weald. And that is how they are able to test the might and the hearts of those who pass through this town. Only those of the true hearts and the bravest of souls are able to pass through in such a holy town, of course. He informs you that basically this weald has a magic over it, in which illusory spells are cast to frighten off those who are untrue and uncertain of their heart, so only the truest may proceed. But those with the proper holy symbol, you now see that Yaidi actually has a very interesting octagonal symbol of a necklace hanging around his neck, which he flashes at you. It is only those with a holy relic of some kind would be able to pass through perfectly safe, possibly even with a guide. He says, but lately we've had one of the wildlife's, the local tree people, wander through. We don't normally see these tree people wander this far south, but we are more concerned of its safety, as we do not know how it would react to such our spells in the woods.
Understandable, as the Ents are generally magicked within themselves.
You come to this main roundabout. You've passed a few little shops here and some more uh, little houses. Uh, there's I do just for sake's sake. I do have a few people dotted here and about the roads. Assume it is a little bit busier. You are passing a few people of normal wear, common wear, and of course of people of cloth wear as well. But just for token's sake, I've only added so many.
Mm-hmm.
You come to this main roundabout with a large, tall, spired shrine in the middle of it. Brother Yeeti will actually hold out a hand real quick, gesturing to the shrine as if asking of something without actually saying anything. He holds out a hand and raises an eyebrow as if to say, do you need to use this?
Um, as I am foreign to your customs, might I ask of what this lovely statue is?
The kindly dwarf will basically tell you this is just a general spire here, a good shrine to any and all deities of kind worship, if need be. He says, unfortunately, we do get a lot of tourists. We do get a lot of people who come to our little town to worship, which of course is what we pride ourselves on. But we we are not priors. We do not ask and pry into what others' beliefs are, as long as they are kind-hearted and well endowed and well-being.
Well, I do not see why not. I'm not normally a very religious individual, but I approach the shrine and just send up a silent prayer to any and all of the gods above and below that may deem myself worthy of their divine assistance.
This shrine
Uh,
is more like a little, small little atrium, if you will. A few little steps lead up into a enclosed pillar area. And in the middle of this little shrine, there appears to be a fountain, a very tall fountain with some overflowing water that runs down into a little interesting network on the floor. But surrounding it, at least about an actual foot away from the fountain itself, is a solid, at least a couple inches thick line of salt around everything.
Hmm. I want to roll perception. See what I know. See if I know what the salt's about.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
4. You're not too familiar with much religiouscy here, but you think it's just got to be like a protection circle.
That makes sense to me.
Now, do you audibly say anything while in this shrine?
No.
Okay.
I just kind of clasp my hands together and send up a silent prayer.
All right. As you are here for a minute or so, you do faintly hear. No, go ahead and roll perception for me real quick. I just want to check this.
Sure, sure. 19.
Perfect. You do faintly hear a small crackle of static electricity, pretty much just directly to your right.
Can I glance over without drawing too much attention to myself?
Certainly.
I would like to try that.
It sounds like it's right next to you. You look over, there is visibly nothing there, but you do see a small arc of blue lightning, which appears to be the same lightning of Sabrak's little dragon.
Okay.
And now that you have attuned your hearing, you can actually faintly hear just as well the small scratching of a charcoal pen.
Gotcha. So I step back.
Okay? Um, the brother will gesture onwards if you appear to be done.
I just nod.
He will continue. You are really just kind of taking in the sights and sounds now. This town looks to be very cut off from the rest of the world, as not only explained geographically, but you can virtually tell everything here is handmade, everything is classic world, nothing modern appears to be visibly implemented thus far in this town.
I see that this town likes to keep to the more simpler things.
Oh yes, the dwarf will chime up. We pride ourselves in raising our generations here. Those who have settled here learned the ways of the cloth, and many a generations have been born and raised in our little town here, and we pride ourselves on that. We do not need to meddle in the affairs of the outside world. Let them squabble and be as they please while we live here in our little paradise.
Well, most travelers would probably think this primitive, but I think it is quite practical to get back down to earth, so to say.
The dwarf will agree and give you a very kind-hearted chuckle. You notice now as you've been walking and kind of chit-chatting, a dog, a little puppy, has kind of just started walking with you. It's not a small puppy. It is a young dog, like a large Labrador puppy. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, roughly about 2-year-old dog,
Yes,
which is
there.
still technically a puppy.
Yeah, like that.
I acknowledge the dog. Hello, puppy.
The dog actually jumps up and actively like wanting to play a little bit and gives a good few yips. The dwarf will address the dog. Oh, don't mind him too much. He's a little local town dog here. Unfortunately, no one can claim him, but we all like to share him as our own. This is Scaithe, I believe. He questions your name real quick.
Yes, yes, it is.
Scaithe, this is our local little Friend here, this is Shortbread.
Hello there, Shortbread. You're adorable.
Dog yips yaps and spins around real quick. Dwarf will continue onwards. As you turn this corner, you can see the very largely constructed inn just down at the end of the road here. It appears to at least be 3 or 4 stories tall and appears to hold quite a many rooms if it is in fact an inn proper.
Alright.
You will make your way down, the dog trailing just alongside. The inn itself appears to be very similarly constructed to the houses you've actually seen in Homestead, very thatched and boarded lined, like your tall structures in your hometown. All along the front of the inn, noticeably, are more of these little outhouse boxes as well, dotting the place. And the dwarf will stop off at the front here, the dog kind of sidling up to him. And Yaedi will instruct you that you can speak to the innkeeper inside. She will have a room prepared for you, of course at no cost, and when you are ready, I can meet you out here, or at this point, I would like to respectively ask if you need me for anything immediate. I do not wish to intrude into your room.
Just one last question. Could you direct me to where the forest is?
The dwarf paints it out just as simply as ever. The roads are pretty simple. Just head back to the shrine. It'll take you down to the temple. Can't miss it. And take a right. It'll bring you down to the main gates. But I would not be too wise to go to the wood tonight. I would normally actively say to go towards the daytime, but unfortunately that is not my call. But I should certainly hope to see you at dinner before long.
You most certainly shall. Thank you very much, Yaedi, and thank you very much, Shortbread.
The dog will yip yap a little more. With that, they will respectively take their leave. I'm going to drag you because I selected you as well. Alright. And at this point, you are free to enter the inn.
And I do so.
The inn is very large and much larger than anything you've seen actually in Homestead. A few people are here in the little local lobby area, which kind of forms out into a large immaculate foyer and bar, kind of like an olden tavern built in the lower floors. You can see a few flights of steps leading upstairs. Noticeably, you see a figure behind the bar that actually catches your eyes. The female is scrubbing down the bar as no one is at the bar currently.
Mm-hmm.
She strikes you as familiar. But you are at the doorway and cannot actively see her face exactly.
On my guard as to not mix things up, since I do realize that I'm out of my own time, I approach.
Alright, you get close enough to actively see this woman, and you do in fact notice this, if it to be true, the same bartender, or shall I say innkeeper, that you met at the New Bastion Inn from your Who Done Him In adventure. This is Isabella, the innkeeper.
Hello.
Hearing your voice, she perks her eyes up from her work. "Oh, the elf man!" she says, actively remembering you, but not quite sure if she has your name, as she didn't spout it.
Right.
"Nice to see you again," she says very cheerfully.
Yes, absolutely. How's it been?
"Well, things have been..." She pauses, looks down for a second, and looks back. "Things have been better. But and anyway, how are you still adventuring? I'm guessing. She says.
Yeah, kind of trying to start fresh.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Are you still living in Homestead? She says, actively trying to bring up some conversation here.
Yes, actually, I am.
That's good. Do you have your own place?
Kind of working on it. Kind of working on it.
That's good. She said she offers you a drink or anything from the menu real quick.
I'll have a little drink.
She respectively prepares your drink and gives you a drink without any sign of requesting payment.
I still, out of politeness, just kind of leave some coins on the counter.
She politely pushes them back to you. Oh, please, we do not really have a monetary system in our town here. We're all self-sustained. There's no need for such.
Then, out of kindness, just let me know if there's anything I can do to repay this at any point in time.
Fair enough, she says. Um, she brings up a little act of more chit-chat, asking about you and how you're doing. Pretty much a one-sided conversation here.
It's been a little confusing. Um, Things have just started to get jumbled up, and I just really need to sort some things out. But enough about me. Enough about me. How are things in this town? Last time I saw you was where? Quite a while ago, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, she says. She recalls that she did used to work at that new Bastion Inn, and she did in fact live in Homestead, but since she mentioned since the incident with you guys and the unfortunate death of her brother,
Right.
Bertram, that she has since moved to this town here, and she's been happier.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that, and I'm still very sorry that everything happened like that, like it did.
She tells you there's no need to apologize. It wasn't anything that you did. They were all of them were drunk off their rocker and weren't prepared for such a situation. But regardless, she tries to cheer herself up and uh, offers to see you to your room.
Sure. Sure. I won't be staying very long. There's a few things I need to take care of, but I do need to know where it's at.
She says, fair enough. You can stay as long as you need. She calls a name from behind the counter. Another female will come out, appearing to be dressed in another apron as well, and will kind of attend to the bar as Isabella here actually kind of takes you upstairs to your room, around a corner here or two. You're like up on the third floor. Uh, as large as this building is, it still seems to be just as the same, homemade, but everything made from scratch kind of deal. But very, very nice work on the actual architecture of this building itself. It seems to be well crafted. Your room is just simple as expected of an inn: bed, the essentials, candles, etc. Nothing glitzy or glamoury.
That's all well and good.
And with that, Isabella will ask if you need anything else. Just let her know, and she will see you around.
Thank you very much, and it was very nice seeing you again, especially in hopefully less critical circumstances.
She gives a friendly likewise and retreats back downstairs to the bar. Alright, Scaithe, with that, you would imagine it would be getting close to dinner time, but at this point you could be free roam.
Well, I don't remember exactly where they said the dining hall was, so I suppose if to the east was the forest, I should try and direct my endeavors northward to
Eh,
sightsee and explore and
Here as
hopefully find a
well,
way.
everyone just seems to be just as friendly as well. You have not gotten any odd glances other than the dwarf being awestruck by you, but everyone here seems generally just as overly friendly as ever. You wouldn't see this type of generosity or kindness upon first view from people like in Homestead, for example.
To be perfectly honest, I'm actually kind of suspicious about that particular behavioral trait, because no one is that nice or happy all the time.
Alright, Scaithe, at this point, you can do as you please.
Well, I'm going to head back to this first intersection.
Alright, you can take a quick look around if you like.
Let's look to the
Well,
south.
I mean, you can look in all the four directions. I mean, it really, whatever
Well,
you'd like to do.
then I would like to look around. Just,
Alright, you can see back to your left, back to the spire, to the little shrine there. Ahead
mm-hmm.
of you, as far down as you can see, you can faintly make out some large building a couple intersections down, which looks, of course, larger than the rest. Right, pretty much immediately to your left appears to be a large market square, some booths and tents set up and about. And to your immediate right, you see what appears to be a schoolhouse or school building of some kind.
Hmm. Well, let's head in this direction.
Alright.
I mean, a stranger approaching anything akin to a schoolhouse might be considered cause for alarm, and I don't want to do that.
Possibly. As you pass by the market, there are a few people here trading here and about. Um, you start passing by, you see these right here are marked as the houses, and you do see more of those little boxes here and there. As you continue down this road, you do pass a kindly lady here who gives you a respectful nod.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to follow up, and you see a man of some sort of cloth here being followed by a person, or a figure, I should say. I don't want to jump to conclusions necessarily, to be grammatically correct. A figure in a dark cloak that just appears to be out of place compared to the bright colors you've seen thus far. That perfectly seems to be tailing and matching the pace of this figure in the robes.
Can I roll a perception to see if I might be able to glean anything off of that? Because that
Certainly.
is exceptionally odd. 18.
Alright. From what you can tell from your positioning, this cloaked figure is very close, like almost half a step behind this figure with the robes, and you were actually unsure if if of the cloth figure is even aware of the figure behind him. But you do manage to see with that 18, the cloaked figure, one of its hands is actually outstretched and glowing a dark green, practically reaching for the person of the cloth. With that, you also see a horse-drawn buggy kind of coming around right about here and attempting like it's going to turn to the right as if cutting off your line of sight with these guys. If you do not adjust or say otherwise.
Um, ever cautious as I am, no, I do not adjust. I
Alright.
just keep trying to observe things.
The driver here obviously sees you when this horse is not racing or anything. They are calmly walking down the road, but adjust their path without any sign of displeased for having to change their course.
Mm-hmm.
You can give a few more paces down if you'd like. At this point, they are almost at the intersection here. This cloaked figure is literally like about to palm the back of this cloth man's head. Its hand is glowing a dark green.
See, the only glow green that I'm aware of was the green stone that turned people into chickens, and that was in the previous timeline. So I don't know about this magic. I suppose I should just kind of walk closer?
They still
And
seem to be making their way just as casual, or at least the cloth man is. At this point, the cloaked figure has legitimately put his hand on the back of his head and just appears to be keeping stride. The man of the cloth not appearing to have been affected or even acknowledged of anything. They're just as calmly continuing on their way, and they're about to turn the corner.
well, I mean, mm, I guess I just walk close. I just walk into the intersection.
Okay.
I
Um,
really don't think there's much I can do there.
all right. At this point, they are actively going around the corner here. Roll a perception for me, real quick.
16.
Good. You are so focused on trying to depict what is going on, you almost run into this gentleman here, who's another man of some sort of cloth, who quickly begs your pardon, adjusting himself from almost running into you around the blind corner.
And I apologize as well. I was transfixed on something else.
He squares you up real quick and asks if there's anything the matter. He says you actively look worried.
I'm probably just seeing things, that's all. I'm a
He
little concerned.
gives you a quizzically look. What's wrong?
Well, it could have just been a couple shadows, but I could have sworn that I saw a cloaked individual following that man, and I gesture down that way, where he's walking.
The man adjusts his spectacles real quick and kind of squints down the way. Oh yes, he says. That's just Brother Thomas. He used to be one of those. Well, let's just say he used to have well, a less than desirable religious practice, but no, that is quite common. He is a mute and learning the ways of this. Oh, let's see. Are you familiar with mind reading? Does that go over your head?
Let me roll that one because I'm not quite sure. My character was very new to magic and all that. So
Okay.
let's yeah, 5. I've heard of it.
Yeah, you've heard of it, and just about it. The man here does reassure you. He says, "No, that is Brother Thomas and his mentor there, and unfortunately, Brother Thomas cannot speak. He is a mute and learns through basically telekinesis.
Okay then.
He assures you,
I
no, that is perfectly normal."
I thank him very deeply for correcting my judgment. I'm a very cautious individual.
All right. Well, at this point, you can continue on your way as you please.
I shall. What all do I see in this intersection?
In this intersection, you turn to the right, you can see a very large temple in some sort of circular square, similar to like the spire just did. Ahead of you, you see a larger building with many windows, appearing to be some similar recognition structure-wise, like a library. A few more houses in the squares around you, and to the left, you actually see far down the way appears to be some sort of gate. The
Well, the
brother,
gate.
the dwarf did mention go back he said from the spire, go to the temple and take a right. So,
Mm-hmm.
judging from your trajectory, that's about right.
Yes. Let's go to the library. That is a good place to learn things.
Okay.
Scaite's not too much of a reader himself, but
You don't
he does
actively
know knowledge is
see.
power.
Mhm. There is a well right here, an uncovered well here in the courtyard. You don't actively see anyone around except for this one gentleman over here who appears to be donned up in like a blacksmith get up. He's got a large, uh, kind of like a leather apron on. He's got some obviously tools about him, and he appears to be readjusting a door or fixing one of these little boxes here.
He must be the local carpenter slash metalworker. Probably keeps things together. Whoops.
Oh no, he fell down.
I just knocked my headset off. I'm sorry.
Scaithe rolled a 1 on his headset.
Yep. That's what happens when you get a haircut and everything that used to keep headset on is not there anymore.
This